and in Dennis's position, this was kind of, his time for me, right? Like, he's had 2 years now over in North America. He's going into his third year here. He's shown, he's been spectacular at times in the American Hockey League. He got a little taste last year. So he's had a really good camp thus far. He was real good last night. So there's an opportunity that opens up for him, right? And so now your job as a player is grab a hold of it, and myself and our staff will continue to look whether a player was taking a leave or not. Is there other avenues to make us better? So we'll continue that process, and we're hopeful and real optimistic that we'll see Joe, before too long.
Brad, you may feel like you have depth, but what you definitely don't have is experience now. And this is an organization that we've seen third goalies like a Matt Murray in the past to be a little bit of that cushion here. So in your mind moving forward, is there a cutoff date if in fact that, you may not have Joseph Woll for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month? Is there depending on what you see early, is it a short leash for these guys to back up? Stolars? I mean, you just go day to day on this?
Yeah, it's a little bit all of the above, Nick, and this is something that we talked a lot over the summer with before any of this came up is if you go back a couple of years, we had Marty Jones in here, and really the feeling was to have more depth there, and to your point, more experienced depth. Going to last year, Matt Murray came off double hip surgery. In Dennis's case, he had only had 1 year under his belt there. We had two, if we go back to last year, at this time we had, we were between Joseph and Anthony. There's question marks there on the number of games that they've played. And we wanted just to have a little bit of insurance blanket. And, at some point you have to have people swim a little bit. You got to take the training wheels off and let them ride. And, that's certainly the case that we're looking at with Dennis right now. Now, that's not to say we continue to look and say, is there other avenues to support us better here, hopefully in the short term, and we'll continue to look at that. Dennis has got an opportunity in front of him. Arturs has got an opportunity in front of him, and I'm hopeful that they'll grab it, and we'll continue to look at and review daily. Is there another option to best support the guys that we have right now and the group as a whole?
And just to close the book on the goalie conversation, any update on Stolar's contract? Is that something you think will get looked after before the season starts?
Well, I don't like to talk too much about contract negotiations, other than we're certainly talking with their side, and I'm always optimistic until I'm not. So we'll continue to work away at it. The good news is we got Anthony. He's under contract for this year. He had a terrific year last year. We're hopeful that we can get something done, but we know that there's really no immediacy for it right now, in the sense that he's under contract, and I'm expecting him to have another real good year. But we're certainly working away with it, and hopefully we can get to the finish line here before too long.
If you don't get a deal, would you be happy with him coming up to you and saying, I'm going to bet on myself and make you pay a lot more after a real successful year?
Yeah, I mean, the great thing I've always found is for competitors, which Anthony is, they are very confident in their abilities, and I'm really, really confident in him. And we've had lots of communication, obviously, both with his agent and Anthony and myself. It's been open dialogue. I think we both know where each other's side is, and like I said, I'm confident that we can get something done. But I don't look at it as a dire situation at all. I look at it as he's poised to have a really good year. If we can get something that gets done before the season starts and give us some certainty there, that would be my preference. But if not, I know we're going to have a real motivated player to go out having a really good year.
Brad, a couple more for you here. We appreciate your time today. Just want to ask you about a new look bottom six this year. You bring in a couple of big bodies, Joshua and Wah, and there's just a lot of bodies right now. You guys have, I would say, more NHL caliber depth players than I can recall the Leafs having. What is that presenting for you as a general manager?
Well, it gives you options right now, Justin. It gives you a little bit right now. Nick got banged up a little bit. He was off the ice for a few days, so he skated today. We haven't seen, that's the early part of camp, right? You're trying to get, pairings together and interchange some people. So we haven't necessarily seen, Nick at full strength in game action yet, or where it all sits out. We certainly have some ideas in mind that we've discussed over the summer. But what I think it does is it gives us a little bit of options. And two things: it gives competition, and lots of times in training camp, as you two know, you can pencil in a lot of the names that where they're going to be. And here, I think there's some real competition there, and that there's different styles of players. We've got lefties, righties. We've got, I like our depth in the middle of the ice. We've got guys that can play on a power play, can play on a penalty kill. So I think right now it's going to come down to number one, performance. And then, as I said before, where we can see some fits. I know, Craig is intrigued by, Dakota and Nick as a possible pairing there. You've got size, you've got forechecking ability, and just in the brief little bit we've seen them in camp together, they're two big men that play down, that are hard to handle down low. You've got Nick that he's intriguing, really intriguing for me as a right-handed centerman, and I think he's really excited about potential role here. So you're right, there's lots of bodies here right now, and as we talked about, we've got some young guys pushing as well. So ultimately it comes down to performance, and we said to the team at the end of the day, this 3 weeks here, what we're looking for is ultimately who can help us win, and who's going to thrive in the role that we're going to need them to play. And that's really what this next, we're 2 weeks from the Bullets flying for real. So that's really where a lot of our focus is where does everybody fit, who do they fit best with, and who's performing best.
Brad, I got to ask you about the blue line, because the depth has never been better, but the thought is still that Morgan has to be that guy that rises above all. How deep were the conversations all summer with Morgan in terms of him finding that 60, 70 point kind of feel again for him?
Yeah, I think Morgan and I had a good chat, after the season, and I think it was just a real honest discussion. And what we need is, we don't need anything more than just, we need the best version of Morgan. And